Defining boundaries. Boundaries are imaginary lines that separate your physical space, feelings, needs, and responsibilities from others. Boundaries let other people know your expectations for how they need to treat you. Without boundaries, people might take advantage of you or make you feel badly or uncomfortably. What are boundaries? Many people find setting boundaries to be difficult. The reason for this is that for the boundary to work, you must be willing to tell someone who has crossed your boundary. Boundaries are imperative to having healthy relationships that are beneficial to both you and the other person. If you do not set and enforce your own boundaries, people might not know how to treat you. If you do not tell others your boundaries, they will not be able to respect them. Thus, it is your responsibility to set and enforce your boundaries. Why do I need boundaries? Well, boundaries are key to having happy and successful relationships with other people. There are several reasons why you need boundaries. Here are the most important. Boundaries allow you to be your most authentic self. Boundaries are self-care. Boundaries set realistic expectations with clear directions. Boundaries protect you emotionally and physically. Number 1, boundaries allow you to be your most authentic self. When you create and enforce boundaries, you draw an invisible line between you and another person. You become a unique individual who is separate from everyone else. You need to have your own feelings, make your own decisions, and know what you need without trying to please others, allowing you to be your most authentic self. Number 2, boundaries are self-care. One of the most important aspects of self-care is valuing and respecting your own needs and feelings. Creating boundaries means that you put your needs and emotions above the needs and emotions of someone else healthily and respectfully. That does not mean you don't want to help other people or you're being inconsiderate of other people's feelings or don't care about other people. However, it means that you are well aware of your limitations and you also take into consideration of what you can do and what you cannot do for other people without feeling resentment later. You focus on your needs instead of worrying about what someone else wants from you. This acts as a form of self-care because it allows you to cherish yourself by doing what you need and want. Number 3, boundaries set realistic expectations with clear directions. Whenever you set a boundary, you and the other party involved become explicitly aware of what is expected of each other. The relationship's expectations become realistic and come with clear directions. Normally, people behave correctly when they know what is expected of them. Setting boundaries and providing clear directions creates realistic expectations that all parties can respect. Number 4, boundaries protect you emotionally and physically. One of the most important reasons that you need to set boundaries is that they protect you emotionally and physically. If someone repeatedly breaks your boundaries, whether they be emotional or physical, you immediately know that person does not care about you and your feelings. You become keenly aware of who you should let into your life and who you should avoid. This allows you to protect yourself from uncomfortable or hurtful situations. Let's talk about types of boundaries. Here are 6 types of boundaries: material boundaries, physical boundaries, mental boundaries, emotional boundaries, sexual boundaries, and spiritual boundaries. Number 1, material boundaries. Material boundaries relate to physical objects such as money, clothes, books, a laptop, or anything else that is a physical object that you own. Material boundaries are expectations of how you and the other party need to act whenever material objects are borrowed, sold, or jointly shared. It is important to set material boundaries so that friendships and relationships are not ruined over material objects. Number 2, physical boundaries. Physical boundaries relate to your personal space, privacy, and body. They set rules for how you and another party should interact on a physical relationship. These physical boundaries can range from appropriate settings to give a handshake versus a hug when you expect a borrowed item to be returned, or how loud your roommate plays their music. Physical boundaries are different from sexual boundaries. Number 3, mental boundaries. Mental boundaries relate to your thoughts, values, and opinions. Mental boundaries can relate to how gullible you are, what you believe, and listening to other people's opinions. Mental boundaries are boundaries with yourself in that they determine how you let other people affect your thoughts and beliefs. For example, they are what help you not get too angry when someone disagrees with you. Number 4, emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries relate to your feelings and emotions. They separate your feelings and emotions from someone else's feelings and emotions. Having good emotional boundaries allow you to not only feel your own emotions, but they also allow you to take responsibility for your emotions. Like mental boundaries, emotional boundaries are often boundaries with yourself because they require you to know your emotions and take responsibilities for them. Number 5, sexual boundaries. Sexual boundaries have to do with your comfort level relating to sexual touch and activity. They can help you to determine what, where, when, and with whom you are comfortable having sexual interactions. Sexual boundaries should always be implemented and respected in sexual or flirtatious settings. Number 6, spiritual boundaries. Spiritual boundaries relate to your belief and experiences with God or some other higher power. These boundaries often not only relate to yourself, God, or the higher power, however, they can also relate to how you interact with people who have different spiritual ideas than you. Let's talk about why setting boundaries can be difficult. People with codependent tendencies especially find setting boundaries difficult. Here's why. Boundaries require you to respect yourself first. Boundaries require you to know yourself. Boundaries require you to feel you have rights. Fear that boundaries jeopardize the relationship. And finally, boundaries take practice. Let's discuss about boundaries require you to respect yourself first. When you set boundaries, you need to respect your needs and wants first. Don't give in because of peer pressure. This can be difficult if you are a people pleaser or are desperate for love because it might cause the other person to become angry or irritated with you. Number 2, boundaries require you to know yourself. Another thing that makes setting boundaries so difficult is that they require a keen knowledge of yourself. You must know what you like and what you expect from yourself and others. If your perception of yourself is clouded or unclear, it will be extremely difficult to set and implement effective boundaries that reflect your needs and wants. Number 3, boundaries require you to feel you have rights. Setting boundaries means that you feel that you have the right to be treated a certain way. For people who are insecure or want a certain relationship, feeling that you have the right to be treated a certain way does not come naturally. As a result, setting boundaries can be difficult because you feel as though you are not entitled to the treatment that you want and need. Let's talk about fear that boundaries jeopardize the relationship. Many people feel as though setting boundaries will destroy relationships. As a result, enforcing boundaries will be difficult out of fear of losing someone that you love or admire. Number 5, boundaries take practice. Just like anything else, setting boundaries requires practice. If you have never set boundaries before, setting them for the first time can be very difficult, but it gets easier with time. Of course, it is important to remember that losing someone who refuses to respect your boundaries is not a loss. In conclusion, number 1, boundaries are imaginary lines that separate your needs from someone else's needs. Number 2, there are many types of boundaries, and each one of them is indicative of having healthy and happy relationship with those around you. Number 3, though boundaries can be difficult to set and enforce, it is important to do the hard work so that you have a healthier relationship with yourself and others.